Welcome back to the course, Millennials and the Millennium. Now today we're talking about amillennialism. Now that term actually can be confusing, particularly the A at the beginning of the word. The A actually means no or non, so the word actually means no millennium. This actually isn't all that helpful into what the term amillennialism actually means. Many modern theologians have come up with alternatives to using that word, amillennialism. Sometimes they use the word realized or even inaugurated millennialism. One of the reasons why there's been so much confusion around the term amillennialism is because the term was not used until the 20th century. And you may ask why. Why did the term not come about until the 20th century? Well, one of the reasons is because amillennialism is considered post-millennial. Now you may ask the question, why? Why is amillennialism considered post-millennial? Well, look at the term. What does post-millennial mean? It means after the millennium. In other words, Jesus will not return to earth until after post the millennium. What sometimes is confusing is amillennialism, what we're studying today, and postmillennialism, what we'll study later, both have this view, this post-millennial view of the return of Jesus. Now we mentioned the actual term amillennialism wasn't around until the 20th century. However, the view, the system, the belief system has been around a really long time. As a matter of fact, it has been a dominant view since the time of Augustine. The reason many theologians try to get away from the A or amillennialism and use a different term like realized or inaugurated is first and foremost to get away from the confusing A, which literally means no millennium, but also is to demonstrate this belief system actually believes and advocates that the present reign of Jesus Christ in heaven right now is actually the millennium of Revelation 20. Now, let me say that again because this is very different than any of the other views. Amillennialists believe that Jesus Christ's reign right now in heaven is the millennium of Revelation 20. Now, historically speaking, amillennialism has been around since ancient times. St. Augustine is often credited with the establishment of this view. However, we know that the ideas of spiritualizing the millennium actually were around from before the time of Augustine. We know that Clement and Origen of Alexandria both had this view. For instance, Origen criticized the literal interpretation of the Bible. He believed that when studying the Bible, you should focus on the spiritual blessings instead of the physical, and that scripture interpretation was really about finding spiritual meaning. However, it was Tychonius, a 4th century theologian. And Augustine actually established amillennialism as the predominant view for over 1,000 years. Now there's a book called Book of Rules. It was written by Tychonius, and in this book he establishes that biblical prophecies should be interpreted spiritually rather than literally. And Augustine himself was actually first drawn to premillennialism, but then he actually established the amillennial view. And he likely did this because of the influence of Tychonius. And you can see through all this background how these belief systems actually develop over time. First with Clement and Origen, then Tychonius, and then finally Augustine, who actually popularized this view of amillennialism. Now this has been a general introduction and background to this particular view. In our next video, we'll get into the details of amillennialism. Until then, remember, keep the millennium in view.